All right, everybody, welcome back to the glorious podcast with legendary strength coach Dan John. As you can see, he is not in his usual location. So, Dan John, where in the world are you today?
I'm at the Homewood Suites in just outside of Pinehurst, North Carolina.
Beautiful Homewood Suites. Legends abound about that place. I hope it has lived up to its reputation.
Yeah. I mean, I've this is about the fourth or fifth time I stayed at this one. It's a nice place, and things are good, man. Things
Good, yeah. Visiting family, right?
Yeah, my baby. I was with Tim. Shoot, I don't know what am I doing here. Sorry, folks. This is all user error right here. I need to. I can't seem to get everything to fit. It's gonna have to do, folks. That look pretty.
Looks good to me. Yeah, looks good. Good lighting, everything. So yeah, did you say you were with our buddy Tim Anderson? Have you seen him?
Yeah, I was with Tim. I redid the original strength, the Pro Reset one, which I did last October. But I also spoke at this one on the A, B, C's, and F's of the weight room. It's the first time I gave the talk by itself. It's a 2-day talk, and I tried to do it in 3 hours. So I mistimed a few things, but I'm that's the thing. You do it, and you work on it. And you
Well,
try to make it better.
that's impressive. That's good. So where did that event take place?
It's in a town called Fuquay.
Verena. That's right. Yeah, that's right. So my wife used to live not too far from there. She's from Raleigh, so I've been down there. I met Tim there many years ago. So that's cool. Yeah.
It is a great workshop. I got to tell you, folks. And again, one of the things you have to realize, whenever I recommend something, folks, generally, I mean, unless it's my own books, but Pressing Reset is probably one of the better certs you can take.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Pro one. The Pro one we had, I call them reverse cobras, but the seated work, the on your back work, and seated on the ground, seated in chairs, the loaded stuff, which I really have gotten a lot of use of. But I do this group, original strength group on Mondays on a Zoom call, and I got to tell you, it's marvelous. Hi, Dan. I'm starting to think that I should probably even start doing that more formally. These 45-minute, 1 hour original strength, follow alongs. It's marvelous. It really is.
So what are Dan's top three? They call them resets, right?
Resets.
Still. Yeah. So, top three, do these every day. I know mine, but I would like to hear yours. They're so simple. There's no reason people shouldn't know about these and be doing them, right?
Yeah. I would say, I don't think there's a question for me that the egg roll is number one.
Gotta love a good egg roll. Yeah.
You grab your knees and you roll on your back. And when you get, like, for example, if I'm on the ground here, and then you take your head and you look through egg rolls. For me, the 6-point are just rocking. So egg rolls, rocking, and then the cross crawls. That's right hand hits the left knee, left hand hits the right knee. I would say those are be mine. But just remember, backing this up, that he's now calling it resets within the resets. Eye control and breathing. And I've added 2 deep breaths. Just for example, 2 deep breaths on every egg roll. So as I'm coming around here, now I'm doing 2 big diaphragm breaths, and it just really opens my neck up and really relaxes.
So good. Yeah. Oh man, the neck takes such a beating, doesn't it?
Especially, in fact, I got a video of the last game I played in high school football.
Yeah.
And I use my helmet as a weapon.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
There's a play where I take on the tight end, the fullback, and then I take out the running back. And I tackle the running back with my legs gone from the tight end, got the chest, and I tackle him with my head, with my helmet. And I mean, those things. And then, of course, that big concussion I got, and when I got hit by the discus, that really just locked up this part of my neck forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
But the thing is, the resets within the resets, that's the deep breathing and the eye control. Great stuff. Marcus here is writing. He loves it too. And the thing is, Marcus and anybody else who's going to do original strength, just kind of remember, yeah, it is a warm up. But to me, when I get in, I try to assess or somebody assess me, but then I always mix it. Like if I'm doing military presses, then mix it with neck nods.
Yeah, right. And that's a great way to do it is you don't
Hmm.
have to do it, totally by which you should. I mean, it's great. I love just doing some of those things in the morning, in the evening, but just between sets, right? Between
Yeah,
sets is instead of the Instagram or whatever, do
I'm
some
starting to
some
think
egg
that's
rolls.
actually
Yeah.
the best way to go. Oh, and Dan Herman also notes here that he picked up Lyle McDonald's new book. Folks,
I wasn't aware that there was a new book. What is it?
so well, Lyle. I mean, he probably had he was probably not busy for an hour and a half. So I mean, it's amazing. It's the correct way to say it. It's not. I always say semaglutide or Ozempic, but it's GLP-1. But it's Lyle discusses that whole new family of Ozempics and Wegovias and all that. And I bought it the second it came out because I've already been asked several questions on my podcast about it. But I mean, I wanted, and I got to tell you something, folks. If you ever want, I mean, I think I know my stuff. I really do. But Lyle has this ability to study dozens, if not hundreds of things, and then he can organize them into so that's very understandable and helpful for me.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he's got. And the other thing, Dan is still commenting. For those of you just listening, I'm looking.
Yeah, no, we always like to hear about these new resources. I'm looking it up right now, so I might just go ahead.
But one of the things I like, he does talk about like ephedrine, which was, at the turn of the millennium, when the internet first showed up, what dominated the internet in the beginning. Well, it was those jackass high intensity, the hit Jedis.
Yeah, the hit Jedis.
Every single one of them was a hard gainer, and so I trained and I got sore, so I waited 6 months, dude. First off, how do you know you're a hard gainer? I mean, it's like it's like sitting down a 5-year-old and trying to predict what sport they'll be good at. But besides the hitters in the beginning, this is pre paleo, this is pre CrossFit, really. Excuse me. Greg invented it in 1974 when both of us were sophomores in high school. So I'm sorry. Dan John, 1965. But it was people doing Atkins and then doing the stack of ephedrine, caffeine, and aspirin. And people would radically change. The problem with ephedrine, though, the ECA stack, is that the moment you went off of it, everything just came right back. All your losses became gains. And for men, ECA leads to erectile dysfunction almost 100% because it's a
not a great trade-off. Yeah,
it's the opposite. It's a vasodilator.
Constrictor.
Oh, cyber pump. Thank you, Justin. Vasodilator versus the other one. And of course, for women, it caused all kinds of side issues, especially, taking basically an amphetamine is going to rocket up some issues that if you have any, popping an amphetamine, I know we all hate Bill Cosby now, but he had that great joke years ago about someone's trying to tell him why you should take drugs. And the person said, because it amplifies your emotions. And Cosby's follow-up was, yeah, but what if you're an asshole? I always thought, sorry, gentle listeners, I'm quoting. I know that was probably hurtful, but I got to tell you, the nice thing about Lyle's book is even if you're never going to use any of these drugs, whatever they are, Wegovias, whatever.
It's good to have a research review. It looks like this is sort of research review and then some. It looks like is that right, Dan? I just read
and there's more.
Yeah.
And Dan, I don't have my book with me, but yeah, he says nutrition, movement, supplementation.
Yeah, it looks like he's got different plans in here too and stuff like that. Looks pretty.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah. Again, I'm just skimming the description, so I haven't read it.
I just read the other day that 70% of the American diet is ultra processed. Now, people I got great respect for get very angry at the word ultra processed, and it's always, well, and it is true. If you and I kill a deer and we cut it open and we cook it on a fire, we've processed the food. But I think we all know what we're talking
I
about.
know, right? Yeah,
Now I got to
yeah,
tell you,
yeah.
folks,
Don't be pedantic, kids. Right? We all
and I
know.
mean,
We all know what we're talking about, right? Yeah.
I worked at Schreiber's Cheese Factory back right after I graduated. I was a full I was a strength coach working on my master's degree and working.
You didn't keep a t-shirt. You don't have a Schreiber's Cheese Factory
No.
t-shirt around
I
somewhere.
went to work at 10 o'clock at night and got off at 6:30 in the morning, and full-time coach and worked on my master's. That whole lack of sleep, but when we make a certain kind of cheese, you could call it Velveeta. That's a brand name, but the individually sliced was what I worked on that machine. IWS, individually wrapped slices. And I'll just say this: anybody who thinks there's cheese in those sliced wrapped cheese, there's not. I mean, cheese is. I mean,
ain't no cheese in that cheese.
It got rolled. It got rolled past some cheese. I mean, there's lots and lots of chemicals in there, vitamin, and a lot of citric acid. I think vitamin C is stuff to give it color. But I mean, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, obviously, cheese is processed food. You got it from a cow or a goat or whatever animal you decide to milk. Don't milk lions. I'm just warning. There's a lesson.
Or bulls.
But and then you add stuff to it or just let it sit and it becomes cheese, right? And depending on the bacteria, it becomes different taste. Okay, good. So that's processed. But ultra, we all know. And I'll stop there.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's annoying when it's like, come on, you all know what you mean. You're being pedantic. Foods that are hyper palatable, right? And it's I like the things with a mascot, the things with a slogan. We all know what we're talking about. Where if they tell you can't just eat just one, like don't take that bet, right? They're going to win. That stuff, right? Yeah, we all know that stuff is not great, right? Why? Because if you eat it, you're going to die right away. No, because they're just very, very easy to overconsume.
And 70% of the American diet right now.
Yeah, and look, yeah, we have a very bad. I don't think anybody disagree. I don't imagine anybody could possibly disagree that we're in a terrible food environment. Yeah, I guess that factors into the whole discussion around what's going on in this book, and I hope So I don't know. It's good that there's a book like that out there.
Yeah. And the other thing too, I got the hard copy, and I'm glad because I think it's the kind of book that I mean, it'll be interesting because there'll be some more information, But what's nice is when a book comes out right in the middle of something, and you get it. For me, it was helpful because you got the past, present, future going on with it.
Yeah.
Here's the diet industry. Here's where we're at now. But I guess, and I just read this. I don't know if it's true, but they're already saying that places like Walmart are being impacted by the use of these. And someone put it up there correctly. GLP-1. Thank you, Justin. GLP-1 by the use of these GLP-1 inhibitors, I think it's called. And I find that fascinating. And my thought is this: if you've got the food industrial complex working overtime, trying to trick us into eating more food, to me, this is just part of the war. It's our job to come up with options to stop that.
Fight it. Yeah. No, I agree with that. Right. I mean, there's always this interplay between what can you do as an individual, but individuals are obviously hugely affected by their environments. So it's unrealistic to think that everyone's just going to kind of bootstrap their way out of this problem. Right. So yeah. Right. Is this something that one could see it going a number of ways? I don't know the answer of it. Right. Maybe these will help people to this will help to change the environment because people will stop feeding into that environment. Alternatively, maybe it will just fuel both sides of it, right? More pharmaceuticals, more bad food decisions. I don't know. It's an interesting, one would hope that it would help to change the environment in a more positive way. And I know people who are in the field, and that's their hope. That's their intention as well.
And Justin raised a really good point, if you don't mind. Thank you, Justin. He uses this 2 word called food noise. And I wasn't aware of food noise until Oprah, the TV person, said the word.
Mm-hmm.
And Nate, hello, Nate. God, nice to see all these people actually knowing.
Yeah. Hey, sorry. We'll get to your questions here in a minute. This is just an interesting
Yeah.
discussion. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Shoot, I was saying something brilliant
About food noise.
Oh, food noise. I'd never even heard the term, but as someone who's struggled since my youth with bigorexia, I mean, if I'm not shoveling food down or putting big weights over my head, I feel like somebody else is getting ahead. So for me, I mean, when I heard food noise, I was like, oh, I understand. I have it on the other end though. If I don't eat protein every 2 hours, I feel like, oh no, my left bicep went down a millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working hard on it, by the way.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see, longer term what the impact is on, the bottom line for places like McDonald's, Taco Bell, as these drugs, permeate the environment, right? That'll be, I'm sure there'll be people keeping an eye on that. I hope they do, because that's something.
Now, I thought that supersize. I don't like that Morgan Spurlock guy, and I know someone who knows him. And
did he die? Why do I feel like he died? Did he die?
Yeah, from being on McDonald's food. But right after that show came out, McDonald's hired.
He did. He died last year, almost a year ago. Wow.
McDonald's hired a high school coach to refute Supersize Me. Thank you, cancer. Okay, thank you. And it was interesting, Patrick, because they made a big deal about it but the thing is, when he went, he ate calorie low foods at McDonald's. And so for example, if you eat a McDonald's regular burger, a small order of fries, and a Diet Coke,
yeah,
and you did that 3 times a day, you will lose weight. Oh, by the way, you also started walking 45 minutes to an hour every day. Now, to me, that's cheating, because if you're going to try to, you got to stick, you can't throw in extra stuff, I'm going to eat nothing but Taco Bell, but I'm going to take Ozempic, Wegovy, ephedrine, caffeine, aspirin, walk 17,000 steps a day, lift weights 3 days a week. And at the end of 2 weeks, I prove that you can lose weight eating a Taco Bell. What about all those other factors?
You haven't proven much of anything interesting, is the point, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think food noise, and if it helps calm that down, and you don't need to go far from where I'm at here in the kind of the South to see people who literally waddle from food event to food event.
Mm-hmm.
There was a book in the 80s that came out that talked about how the French talk about Americans as being the balloon people. Someone had gone down to Epcot or Disney World and just observed this French person just watched these obese families go from churros to cotton candy to
and of
course
it's a problem. We've known it's a problem for a long time. So
okay, a little bit too much there.
Hey, well, sometimes it's just worth, look, ain't like Pat Flynn's got a solution to this, some ideas here or there, but there's value in just discussing problems, right? There is, and continuing to mull them over and think through possible solutions and implications and stuff like that. But we'll get to some questions about lifting here. Steven says, I have a question. Good man. I've been playing with 30 for 30 for a while, and he's thinking about adding the ab wheel. Dan, what are your thoughts on this?
It works out really well.
Yeah, great. Love that.
The only problem with 30 seconds of ab wheel is a lot. Yeah. I maybe would alternate if you have the chance, Steve. Now the problem is it's going to get congested. You're looking at 30 bouts of exercise, so once you get beyond maybe 5 exercise choices, you get confused. But I would do, if you can do it, maybe round 1 with the ab wheel, round 2 with the hanging bent knee leg raise, which is a little bit easier on there's a point on the ab wheel where you really challenge, that air. I've been slowly fixing it, but that space between the abs where it pops out, it makes a little tent. Sometimes the ab wheel really exacerbates that little tent. Okay, that would be my only concern. Okay, another good variation is when you hang, and then it was that. His name was Brad. He was a bodybuilder. He was a lot of TV. He was always the guy sneaking up on the American guy in movies. But he used to hang, and then you bring your knees up this way. Then you bring up your knees this way. It's that where you kind of get a little bit more of a side bendy. It's a hybrid side bent knee raise, if that makes sense. So I'm here, and the knees come here. I'm here, and the knees come here. Yeah. So yeah. Good. Yeah, I think it's fine.
Cool. All right. Kang says, I'm studying ecological psychology, but have not fully grasped its concepts. Any thoughts on ecological psych and its use in coaching or learning body movements, how to use it in my workouts? Not really a field I know much about, Dan. Any thoughts here?
Well, I mean, like, is this like being part of nature makes you, like forest bathing? Is that what you mean, King? Forest bathing? Just answer us, would you? And we can come right back to it, okay? Because I do know that, for example, being on a beach that has big waves coming in, like Northern California, there's something about the ozone layer in there that is really supposed to be good for you. I know that just sitting in a pine forest, I'm here in Pinehurst, it's just sitting. You don't have to do anything. You just kind of sit and you feel better. So I think there's some truth to it. I have no issues with it. Speaking of exciting news, I think I've discussed with you on the podcast before, my thrower, Emily, she's the one that she's my school's first All-American. And so this past year, she transferred to another school with my blessing because of NIL money and all these other things. But she had a 1.5 meter personal record on her last throw at conference to win conference last night with Excellent. A big, so very, very
major congratulations.
Yeah,
yes.
So kind of nice. And I got to tell you, I'm not going to pat myself on the back too hard, but I always try to do the right thing for my athletes. And sometimes the right thing is for them to go move along. Yeah. I'm very proud. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Marcus says, I'm tracking my food intake via an app. Would you count calories burned, workouts, walking into this or not? I'm hungry and need to decide between carrots or bread. Generally, no. I mean, you set an activity level, but otherwise you just track what's going in.
Folks, if you think you can get rid of adipose tissue through exercise, I mean, you can, but it is so much easier to not eat that donut than it is to try to burn that donut off. A couple weeks back during a snowstorm, I went into our school's treadmill because I want to get my hour walk in. So I put on my earbuds and I listened to the Pat Flynn podcast, as one always does. And I turned on that little button. And I think in an hour, I burned 142 calories, which is not even that's less than a protein shake. That's just protein. Protein shake's about 160 calories. That's nothing. I mean, it's nothing. I buy Dave's bread, and basically I burned off 2 slices of Dave's thin sliced bread in an hour of walking. But we also know that if you do decide to build some lean body mass and you walk after, you set your system up for great long-term fat loss. But it is calories in, calories out, but the calories inside eating is and I've been cutting back on my calories, but I do it by fasting because it's just easier for me.
It's just on a practical level. I'm the same way. Yeah. Dan says most practitioners would say no. I agree with that. Yep. Good. All right, let's take a few more. Sorry, on a bit of a time crunch today. Sparrowhawk says, "What are your thoughts on the kettlebell in each hand swings and benefits versus two hands on the kettlebell swings?" Was he talking? I think he's talking about double kettlebell swings versus two hand
Yeah.
kettlebell swings. Yeah, go ahead, Dan. Mhm.
Oh, I mean, it's a fabulous exercise, and it's the only way I think you really should go up in load past maybe the 24. So instead of, I mean, a lot of people like myself, I like it a lot. I will, I like to have both hands on the kettlebell. I really do. But it is better, I think, instead of moving up to the 32, to have double 16s, if that makes sense. I think it's better because that way, at least for me, I don't chew. I almost every kettlebell, I have to swing like this two-handed with the
Yeah,
pinkies outside.
yeah, the pinky's out.
Because if I go like this, I just rub it to. I mean, I'll just put holes in the back of my
Yeah,
outsides of my pinkies. Yeah,
yeah, I'm big fan of the double
yeah, love them.
kettlebell
Yeah,
swing. Yeah, good. Yeah, good. Go forth and enjoy them and do them. All right, let's talk to Mr. Kettlebells and Pizza here. I'm not going to complain about that combination. Two of my favorite things right there. He wants to wants to work towards handling double 24s as well. Really for the armor building complex. It's a bit too much weight for him right now, so he wants to progress towards it. Dan, what would you recommend? Should he just do a single 24 armor building or what?
is that the only option? Because the single side ABC requires you to be able to press. Clean and press, clean and press.
He says he feels that the double 24s for the cleans are particularly heavy for him.
Well, if you're thinking it's going to injure your back, your technique is the issue, not the bells. I mean, you should probably get yourself with somebody good. Now, here's the problem. I mean, there are so many kettlebell certs out now. These pardon me, these fine people are now. Some of them are teaching the dead hang again instead of the swing clean. If you're going to dead hang things, use a barbell. The kettlebell should be always swung. Every clean is a swing that ends up here. It's a swing that ends up here.
Yep.
And if it's cranking your back up, then that's a technical issue. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, you know what? There's there is if you haven't spent time with double swings too, there's a good place to work some of that also. But when it comes to the armor building complex, I'm as you know, Dan, I've been such a fan for this such a while just because it's just it's such a simple thing, right?
Yeah.
The idea of staggering. Right. And this is, people on my email list, and I've been talking about just like, wow, it's such a simple solution in so many ways you don't think of. Like, you don't have an exercise in general, like, you don't have to do everything exactly the same way, right? If you do a complex, you don't have to do all the exercises for the same number of reps. Amazing, right? It's just funny, like the default mindset people get into with so much. And then you realize you could do things a little bit different and it solves so many issues. And like, man, just like, why was I ever locked into this kind of very basic way of thinking?
It's funny you say that because circuit training, we were big into circuit training when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, following up on the question, I would say we were very close to the 30 for 30 concept, where we would go for 30 seconds and then a whistle would go off and then we'd move to the next station. And then the whistle would go off and we would move whatever weight we had as many times you could in the 30 seconds. But if I'm doing leg extensions, I don't know. I mean, I can get a lot of reps with leg extensions.
Yeah.
In 30 seconds. You got a single movement. I mean, I wouldn't say it that fast, but I wouldn't be surprised if I would have gotten in the high 20s.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy doing military presses in 30 seconds, I mean, you'd have to have an extremely lightweight to get 20 reps.
Right.
So, but we never counted the reps, but it was natural to do, like you're saying, it was natural to not have the reps line up. It's an interesting thought.
Well, yeah, and what's the point? Well, with armor building, it's complexes are cool, but generally, right, you're limited because not all your movement patterns, muscle groups are of the same strength, right? Like you should be able to squat more than you press. So if you're, running a complex and you've got like, a lot of presses in there, then okay, you might be challenged on the press, but the squat will be underserved or something like that, right? And armor building's smart because it just staggers the reps, right? You keep the press at just one rep, right? And so, you kind of lower the barrier there for what might be the limiting exercise to help you get a little more juice from the squeeze on the squats. And I've been talking about this with EMOMs. EMOMs are great because they're efficient, they're on the clock. However, rest periods are like kind of short. So it's hard to really kind of do the heavier stuff with EMOMs, at least for more than like 2 sets. But you can just stagger it, right? So you don't have to do the same thing every minute. You can do like a hard, heavy thing on minute 1 and then just do something back off on minute 2, maybe even minute 3. So then when you get back to that hard, heavy thing, you got a little bit more juice in the tank. And just this clever way of staggering things to just let you get more out of your complexes or EMOMs. It just solves a lot of problems. Also just makes workouts more interesting and fun in a lot of ways too. Just different, right? Mm-hmm.
When I was at this famous place for athletes, and the guy was designing templates for throwers, and he called them clusters, but every minute on the minute you do a snatch, okay? And he wanted us to do 6 sets of 5 in the snatch. So the first set took 5 minutes because you snatched, 4 minutes, but you snatched every minute on the minute snatch. Then you rested fully and you repeated that. So the snatches took about 35 minutes, but he also wanted us to clean, front squat. There were 4 exercises. Oh, and bench, all this method. 2-hour workout just to get through those big lifts. I was like, dude, no offense, man. I got myself a life over there.
2 hours. Man, yeah, a 2-hour workout. Whatever, man. Whatever. All right. Dan, before we say goodbye, what's your week looking like, and anything else you want to announce and tease and all that good stuff? Yep.
Working on that new follow-up to the armor building formula. For those of you who get my wandering weights, I'm going to have a lot of ideas on it tomorrow.
A beautiful newsletter. It's beautiful.
That's my newsletter. I don't know how. I think you just go to danjohnuniversity.com and sign up. I think it'd be nice if I knew this kind of thing. But I'm very excited. I've been working on some new idea. I'm trying to clean up this kettlebell repetition thing. The way I did it in the supplement, I thought was just very simple. I thought it was very simple, but I'm working on that. I have a quiet little bit of time. A couple of weeks, I have to go out to speak for Parker University again. I'm looking forward to that, but it's quiet. I'm working on a thing for John DeCane over at Dragon Door, which I'll be announcing probably soon. Okay.
Great.
But doing my original strength, getting my walking in, my body weight has been down at 213 for a while, which is good for me. Looking forward to maybe losing a little. I'm trying to about a pound or so a month ish, maybe a pound a month. I'm trying to lose. Somebody said to me the other day, God, you've lost so much weight. And then they followed up with a question like, are you on a drug or something? And I'm like, dude, I've been losing a pound a month for like 3 or 4 years. It's like, I'm an overnight, like what Tom Plummer always says about me. I'm an overnight success. It just took 40 years to get there. Like my fat loss, you lose a pound a month. It's hard to notice it unless you haven't seen the person. Kind of like little kids with growing,
You're right. Yeah, it's just a great analogy, but that's right. Awesome, Dan. Great to hear things are going so well, and thank you for sharing the wisdom as always. Hope you enjoy your trip out east, and thank you to all the gentle listeners for tuning in. The great questions. We'll see you all next week. Hit subscribe, like, share, comment. We'll see you later. Peace.